Every day, individuals come to me convinced they are doing everything right for their health. They walk consistently, often for 30 minutes or more, yet they report persistent knee pain, chronic fatigue, numbness in their legs, and a general sense of deteriorating health rather than improvement. My first question is always the same. How exactly are you walking? This is where the revelation often begins, because the issue is rarely that people walk too little. The real problem is that they walk incorrectly. And incorrect walking isn't just wasted effort. It actively damages your joints, compromises your posture, strains your cardiovascular system, and fuels chronic inflammation throughout your body. In my 15 years of practice, I've seen this scenario unfold countless times. Before we dive into these critical mistakes, a quick note. What you're about to learn is information rarely shared in a typical medical appointment. The current system often profits from treating illness, not from preventing it. This is precisely why Vitality Blueprint exists, to empower you with knowledge. If you find this information valuable, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to help us reach more people. Now, let's establish the foundation. Why is walking after 50 not merely a pleasant pastime, but a genuine medical necessity? After the age of 50, your body initiates a predictable cascade of physiological changes. These changes are measurable, and you simply cannot afford to ignore them. The first change is the gradual disappearance of muscle mass, a process known as sarcopenia. This refers to the age-related loss of muscle tissue. After 50, you lose approximately 1 to 2% of your total muscle mass every single year. While this might sound manageable on paper, over a decade, it translates to a significant loss of 15 to 20% of your total muscle. Muscle is not solely about strength. It stabilizes your joints, regulates your blood sugar by managing glucose levels in your bloodstream, maintains your posture, and provides balance as you walk. Lose enough of it, and everything downstream begins to falter. The second change is joint stiffness. Cartilage, the smooth, cushioning tissue at the ends of your bones, lacks its own blood supply. It receives nutrition exclusively through movement. When you load and move a joint, synovial fluid, the lubricating fluid inside the joint, is pushed into the cartilage, delivering the essential nutrients it needs to remain healthy. Without regular movement, cartilage literally starves, thinning out, losing elasticity, and eventually beginning to break down. This breakdown is what we call osteoarthritis, and it is not an inevitable consequence of aging. However, you can certainly accelerate its progression with incorrect habits. The third change involves a slowdown in your metabolism. Your basal metabolic rate, which is the number of calories your body burns simply to sustain itself at rest, decreases by roughly 2 to 3% every 10 years after 50. This means that the exact same lifestyle that maintained a stable weight at 30 will likely lead to weight gain at 55. Not because you changed your habits, but because your body has changed. The fourth change is less efficient circulation. Your blood vessel walls gradually lose elasticity, and your heart pumps with slightly less power. Peripheral circulation, meaning blood flow to the legs, feet, and smaller vessels, deteriorates. This is precisely why many people over 50 experience cold feet, nighttime leg cramps, and a heavy, tired sensation in their lower legs by the end of the day. Here is the critical point. Walking positively impacts all 4 of these systems simultaneously. It activates muscle, triggers cartilage nutrition through movement, accelerates metabolism, and improves circulation. Multiple studies confirm that individuals who walk regularly have significantly lower rates of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, a condition where the body struggles to manage blood sugar properly, osteoporosis, the thinning of bones, and cognitive decline, However, and this is the crucial detail often overlooked, all these benefits only materialize when you walk correctly. Walk the wrong way, and you don't just receive a diminished benefit. You introduce new problems on top of existing ones. Let's examine every major mistake I commonly observe, starting with mistake number 1. Mistake number 1. You start your walk too fast. This is arguably the single most common error I encounter across all age groups and fitness levels. People step outside and immediately launch into their full pace. It seems logical. Why waste time warming up when you could just get moving? But your body is not a car. You cannot simply turn a key and expect everything to operate at full capacity instantly. Your body requires time to transition from rest to movement, and this transition cannot be skipped without consequences. Here's what actually happens in your body when you start too fast. First, your muscles are cold. The colder muscle fibers are, the less elastic they become. Reduced elasticity means a higher risk of micro tears. Tiny microscopic rips in the muscle tissue that individually cause no immediate symptoms but accumulate over time, leading to chronic pain syndromes. Second, your joints are not yet adequately lubricated. Synovial fluid, the protective liquid inside your joints, pools in certain areas of the joint cavity while you rest. To spread evenly across the entire joint surface and create a protective film between the cartilage surfaces, it needs a few minutes of slow, gradual movement. Start fast, and your cartilage is essentially running dry. Third, your cardiovascular system has not adapted. The heart does not respond well to sudden demands. When intensity increases too rapidly, heart rate spikes and blood pressure jumps more sharply than necessary. After 50, when your vessels are already less elastic, that sudden spike places unnecessary stress on your vessel walls. The solution requires 0 additional time. Dedicate the first 3 to 5 minutes of every single walk to moving slowly, deliberately slowly, almost leisurely. This is your warm-up. It is not just for athletes. It is for every person who wishes to walk without pain. After 5 minutes of slow walking, your joints will be lubricated, your muscles will be warm, and your heart will have settled into an efficient working rhythm. Only then should you pick up your pace. Mistake number 2. Incorrect posture while walking. Observe people walking outdoors, and you will notice that most are hunched forward, head jutting out, shoulders rounded downwards and forward, with their eyes fixed on the ground a few meters ahead. This is not merely unattractive. It represents a biomechanical catastrophe for your spine and respiratory system. Let me explain the mechanics. An adult human head weighs approximately 5 kilograms. When it rests directly over the spine in a neutral position, the neck muscles bear precisely that load. However, when the head shifts forward by just 5 to 4 centimeters, the load on the cervical spine, the neck portion of your backbone, increases by roughly 3 times. At a 5 centimeter forward shift, the load multiplies 4 to 5 times. This means that instead of carrying 5 kilograms, your neck and upper back muscles are continuously holding 20 to 25 kilograms. Walk like that for 20 or 30 minutes, and you will generate chronic muscle tension in the neck, shoulders, and the base of the skull. This is why so many people return home from a walk with a neck ache. It is not due to a draft or old age. It is due to poor posture. The second impact affects your lungs. When your chest is compressed and your shoulders are rolled forward, your diaphragm, the primary breathing muscle located below the lungs, cannot fully descend. Consequently, your lungs cannot fully expand. You end up breathing shallowly, utilizing only the upper portion of your chest. Your body receives less oxygen than it should, and less oxygen translates to less energy for your muscles and brain. You might walk for 30 minutes, but feel as though you walked for an hour. People often attribute this to age or poor fitness, but the true culprit is posture. There is a third consequence that almost nobody mentions. Poor walking posture disrupts the entire biomechanical chain. With the head forward, the lower back compensates with an exaggerated arch, the pelvis tilts, and the knees begin operating at an incorrect angle. The load on your knee and hip joints increases, not because you are old, but because of one specific, correctable mechanical error. How do you fix it? Imagine a thin thread attached to the top of your head, gently pulling you upward. This does not mean straining or forcing yourself to stand rigidly tall. It simply means allowing your spine to decompress and straighten. Your shoulders should be relaxed, drawn slightly back, not a military stance, but your natural anatomical position. Keep your eyes forward on the horizon, not fixed on the pavement. Your chin should be parallel to the ground, and your chest open. In this position, your lungs operate at full capacity. Your neck carries no excess load, and your spine distributes weight exactly as it was designed to. Mistake number 3. The wrong shoes. This is the topic people typically pay the least attention to. Shoes are often the last thing anyone considers when choosing a walking route or deciding how long to walk. This is a serious oversight, because for your joints, nothing is more important than what lies between your foot and the ground. 2 age-related changes make footwear critically important. First, the fat pads on the soles of your feet thin out. These pads previously acted as natural shock absorbers, softening the impact of your heel striking the ground with every step. Now that natural cushioning is diminished, your shoes must compensate. If they don't, every ground impact travels directly up the chain: ankle, knee, hip, and lower back. Second, the muscles and ligaments of the foot weaken with age. The arch of the foot can begin to collapse, a condition known as acquired flat foot. Flat foot alters the entire load angle on the knee, shifts the axis of the hip joint, and increases spinal stress. Good shoes with proper arch support can significantly slow this process. What you need in a walking shoe is, first, adequate cushioning in both the heel and the forefoot. The sole must be soft enough to absorb impact, yet not so soft that your foot sinks without support. Second, arch support. This does not imply a rigid insole. It means the inner shape of the sole should conform to the natural anatomy of your foot and prevent the arch from collapsing inward. Third, a flexible sole in the front portion. When you walk, your foot needs to bend at the ball, which is the wide front part of the foot. If the entire sole is rigid, it disrupts the natural heel-to-toe roll and overloads the calf muscles and the Achilles tendon, the large tendon at the back of your ankle. One more crucial point about shoes: wear. Many people walk in sneakers or athletic shoes they purchased 2 or 3 years ago. The exterior may appear perfectly fine, but the cushioning materials in the midsole, the layer between the outer rubber and the inner lining, lose their shock-absorbing properties long before the shoe looks visibly worn. If you walk regularly, replace your walking shoes approximately once a year. This is not a commercial pitch. It is a fundamental aspect of osteoarthritis prevention. Mistake number 4. You walk rarely, but for long distances when you do. This is an extremely common pattern. People are busy during the week, so they take one long walk on the weekend, perhaps an hour, sometimes 2. They return home tired, feel virtuous, and consider it their weekly fitness requirement. From a physiological standpoint, this approach is fundamentally flawed. Your body does not respond to isolated bursts of activity. It responds to repeated, consistent signals. Every time you walk, your body receives a message. Physical activity is the norm. In response to that message, your heart gradually becomes more efficient, your blood vessels adapt, your muscles strengthen, and your metabolism remains active. This is called training adaptation, and it only occurs with repeated, regular signals. One walk a week is too weak a signal for your body to adapt meaningfully, and the benefit remains minimal. Worse yet, a single long walk after several days of complete rest is a stress event for unprepared muscles. They are cold, unadapted, and on the following day, they ache. People then draw the conclusion, walking is not for me. My joints are weak. That is the wrong conclusion. Your joints are likely fine. The loading pattern is incorrect. Evidence-based medicine is clear on this. 20 to 30 minutes of walking on most days of the week is the minimum effective dose for your cardiovascular system. That is, the regimen that reduces your risk of heart attack, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Not one long Sunday walk, but 5 to 6 shorter walks per week. Your body adapts to what repeats, and only to what repeats. If you currently walk once a week, start with 3 times. Not necessarily for 20 minutes. Begin with 10 minutes. After 2 weeks, add 5 more minutes. Gradual progression here is not a sign of weakness. It is a strategic approach. Mistake number 5. Your arms are motionless while you walk. Most people either hold their arms stiffly at their sides, let them hang loosely, or shove them into their pockets. This might seem comfortable, but in reality, it strips away a significant portion of walking's benefits and disrupts movement mechanics. Here's why. Walking is not just leg work. It is a whole-body, cross-pattern movement. When your left leg steps forward, your right arm naturally swings forward, and vice versa. This pattern, known as cross-coordination, is hardwired into your nervous system. It symmetrically distributes the load across your spine and reduces the sideways twisting force on your trunk with every step. When your arms don't move, your spine must compensate for that asymmetry by over-rotating in the lower back region. For individuals who already experience lower back issues, this can trigger pain. The second point is that arm swing recruits the muscles of the shoulders, chest, and upper back. This means that during a walk with proper arm movement, significantly more total muscle mass is active than during a walk with static arms. More active muscle translates to higher caloric expenditure, better circulation, and a more active metabolism. The exact same distance walked with proper arm swing delivers a stronger physiological effect. Third, arm movement sets rhythm and improves coordination. This becomes especially important after 50, when coordination gradually declines. A steady, rhythmic arm swing helps maintain a consistent stride and reduces the risk of losing balance. How do you do it correctly? Bend your elbows slightly, to roughly 90 degrees. Allow them to swing naturally forward and back in rhythm, opposite to your leg movement. You do not need the exaggerated pumping action of competitive race walkers. Simply stop pinning your arms to your body. After a few walks, you will feel the difference. Walking becomes easier and more rhythmic almost immediately. Mistake number 6. Walking with your phone in your hand. 20 years ago, this mistake did not exist. Today, it is one of the most widespread things I observe. People walk while looking at a screen, reading messages, or scrolling through a feed, believing they are taking care of their health. They are not. Let's begin with posture. When you look at a phone you are holding in front of you, or worse, down by your waist, your head tilts downward. We have already established what this does to the cervical spine. The load on your neck muscles increases 3 to 5 times. Your shoulders round forward, your chest compresses, and breathing becomes shallow. Everything we discussed about poor posture occurs, but now it is actively reinforced and intensified, because with a phone, your head is often angled lower than it would be with ordinary slouching. Now consider safety. After 50, the vestibular system, which governs balance and orientation in your inner ear, begins to operate with slightly less precision. Proprioception, your body's sense of its own position and movement in space, also begins to diminish. This is a normal, gradual process of aging. What it means is that your brain increasingly relies on visual input to maintain balance while walking. When your eyes are on a screen instead of the path ahead, your brain is deprived of its most critical source of spatial information. You cease to see uneven pavement, curbs, steps, wet surfaces, or sudden drops. The risk of a fall rises substantially. A fall after 50 is not just a matter of getting up, brushing yourself off, and moving on. It frequently results in a fractured wrist, fractured ribs, or, most seriously, a hip fracture. A hip fracture in someone over 60 often entails extended immobilization, surgery, and a lengthy rehabilitation period. The prevention is as simple as it gets. Put the phone in your pocket. And one final argument. Walking is not just a physical exercise. It is also a neurological one. When you walk while paying attention to the road, the sensations in your body, your breathing, and your surroundings, you are actively training attention, coordination, and spatial awareness. That is a genuine, documented benefit for your brain. When you are engrossed in your phone, that benefit disappears. Your legs are moving, but your brain is occupied elsewhere. Let a walk simply be a walk. Mistake number 7. Ignoring recovery after walking. Nobody talks about this, neither in a clinic nor in a gym. The general assumption is that walking is such a light activity that no recovery is required. That assumption is incorrect. Let's start with water. Muscle tissue is composed of 70 to 75% water. Every biochemical process involved in muscle contraction, relaxation, and repair after exercise occurs in an aqueous environment. Even mild dehydration, a mere 1 to 2% reduction in your body's fluid stores, measurably reduces muscle elasticity, slows recovery, and increases the risk of cramping. After a walk, drink a glass of water. This is not advice from a sports drink advertisement. It is basic physiology. Now, regarding stretching. During walking, your muscles work in a shortening mode. They contract repeatedly. Without stretching afterward, they remain slightly shortened once you stop. Over time, this accumulates. Muscles become tight and rigid. Joint range of motion decreases, and a persistent feeling of stiffness develops. This is most pronounced in the calves, the back of the thighs, and the lower back. 5 minutes of gentle stretching after every walk entirely prevents this. And finally, about rest days. Many people reason that if walking is good, more walking must be better. That is not how adaptation works. Your body does not adapt during exercise. It adapts during recovery. That is when muscle fibers reinforce themselves, when joints remodel in response to load, and when the cardiovascular system restructures to handle new demands. If you never allow your body recovery time, adaptation simply does not occur. 1 to 2 rest days per week is not laziness. It is the correct protocol. Think of your walk not as an isolated exercise, but as part of a comprehensive system. Movement, water, stretching, and rest. Only as a complete system does it produce durable, long-term results. Now, here's an important clinical observation that ties everything together. All 7 of these mistakes carry different levels of risk depending on your age. The damage caused by poor posture, worn-out shoes, and insufficient recovery time is 2 to 3 times more serious after 50 than it is at 30, because the resilience of your joints, blood vessels, and muscles naturally decreases over time. The same mistake your body forgave at 30 without consequence will generate tangible symptoms at 55. How old are you? Write it in the comments. I want to understand which age group this material resonates with most, so I can focus future content where you are right now. Now, for a clear, practical conclusion. Here is exactly what to do after watching this video. 1. Adopt the slow start rule. The first 3 to 5 minutes of every walk should be at a slow pace only, with no exceptions. This costs you 0 additional time. You are simply starting slower. 2. Check your posture right now. Stand up, straighten your spine, gently draw your head upward, relax your shoulders, and ease them slightly back. Hold that position. Memorize that feeling, and reproduce it every time you walk out the door. 3. Pick up your walking shoes and examine the soles. If they are unevenly worn, or if you have been walking in them consistently for more than a year, it is time to replace them. This is one of the simplest, highest return investments you can make in your joint health. 4. Discontinue the habit of taking only one long walk a week. Your target should be 20 to 30 minutes of walking 5 to 6 days a week. If that seems like too much right now, start with 3 days and add 1 day every 2 weeks. Gradual progression is sustainable. 5. Let your arms move. Bend your elbows, relax your shoulders, and allow your arms to swing in a natural rhythm opposite to your leg movement. Take them out of your pockets. 6. Your phone goes into your pocket for the entire duration of your walk, no exceptions. If you need audio, music, or a podcast, use earbuds. Just keep the screen out of your hands. 7. After every walk, drink a glass of water and perform 5 minutes of stretching. Just 5 minutes. That is what stands between you and chronic muscle stiffness. Walking is one of the most accessible, safe, and effective tools available for maintaining your health after 50. You do not need a gym. You do not need expensive equipment. You do not need any special preparation. You simply need the right habits and a conscious approach. Small changes in how you walk produce real, long-term results for your heart, your joints, your brain, and your overall well-being. No typical clinic visit will guide you through these precise steps. The healthcare system, by its design, often prioritizes treatment over prevention. That is precisely why Vitality Blueprint exists, to provide you with the essential knowledge for lasting health. If you found this video valuable, please like it and subscribe to Vitality Blueprint. Join our community as we empower one informed, healthy person at a time.